One of my favorite things when I was little was to sit and go through Nanny's jewelry box and look at every little piece, and she would tell me where it came from. And this one came from this rodeo in Oklahoma where your grandpa roped however many steers. And that like sparked my love for jewelry telling a story too, which so many of my pieces have a really like rich story behind it that connects you to home. My mom was a small business owner for many years creatively. She was always making. She taught a macrame class back when it was super cool in the 70s. And her mom did leather tooling because she was a rodeo lady. It started on the playground in first grade. I was making friendship bracelets, just string braiding. I would make them all the time. I lived and breathed friendship bracelets. I gave them to everybody I met. Even like when I'd go on vacation, I'd give them to the front desk clerks at hotels, and it kind of just grew from there. I'm a college dropout. Actually, I failed art, which is hilarious. I started collecting jewelry, and someone asked me one time, well, why don't you just make it yourself? I was like, I don't know how to make metal. I don't know how to put diamonds in a ring. And so I Googled it, and there was a college 3 hours away. And within a week, I visited, I signed up, and I moved. So I went to Gem City College in Quincy, and I was the only girl at the entire program. Then I opened my small business, and I went back for business, and I took 2 accounting classes and then a business class, and my business teacher took me aside, and he was like, you already have a business, right? I was like, yeah. He's like, trial and error and the experience of having a business is the education you need. So I'm a double dropout because I dropped out after that class. But it's very hard to convey to people who are less actively creative that you can make a career out of something creative. And I did get a lot of pushback for a long time, not just from family, but from people even today. I've been doing this for 15 years, and people will still do, this is cool, but what do you do for money? And it is my full-time career. And I almost feel like I have to walk around with my income on my shirt to be like, this is real. I make a living. But it is very hard to convey I have to remind myself that it's just a misunderstanding. That's all. I've tested out the waters on many things. Like I started school for culinary. I wanted to own a bakery. And then I worked at a coffee shop and a bank and a pawn shop and a jewelry store and all these different little things that were just like, I didn't have control of my life. Like if I wanted to go do something with my family, if I have to receive permission to do a thing with my family, it's like, what am I doing with my life? My grandpa started getting sick, and they lived 3 hours south. And had I had a real job, I wouldn't have been able to get a week or 2 per month off of work to go be with him. We didn't know it was the last year of his life. I don't know that he knew that either. He was proud of what I was doing, but he wanted me to get a real job. And I might cry. The last visit that I had with him, we were down there and he was in the hospital. He had pneumonia and he kept checking himself out of the hospital, so he was never fully healing. And for like the few months leading up to that, we talked money, we talked business. He was a trucker, so he kind of had his own business. So he was interested in how I was filing my taxes and how I was doing this and how much money do you really make when you go sit somewhere in the back of your car in a parking lot with your jewelry? So I was giving him numbers and telling him. And the last day in the hospital, before they put him on a ventilator, he had told his nurse that Lindsey makes jewelry and she's really good. She's really good at it. And that night, I got an order from a nurse with delivery address at the hospital. And I texted him, and it was the very last text he ever received or saw. And it said, I didn't know you were going to turn your hospital stay into a business trip, Papa. You made me a sale. And that very last, he read it. He couldn't respond. And he passed away the next morning. But the final validation of, he got me a sale. And that sounds so shallow and salesy, but it was so much more than that. It was so much more of, he sees me, he's proud of me, I'm doing something impactful, and I'm thinking that some of the last thoughts he had was, I'm so glad that they could be here as much as they were. I was the only girl in my entire metalsmithing school, and when I graduated, it was really hard to find a community that had women in it that were active and weren't afraid to ask questions. I first met Cassie when she asked me to come pop up the year that Cast Concepts opened downtown, and we popped up for the Christmas event. I pop up all over Illinois, and it kind of gives me an out to get out of the house. I do sell online, and sitting behind a computer gets really exhausting, and it is a breath of fresh air to get out of my studio and into a different space. This building is so nice. It is clean and airy and bright. Now, I could go to Panera and sit, but if I come here and I have something I want to bounce off of somebody, if I'm working on my website and want to ask somebody to check it out from a customer standpoint, I can holler into the other room and ask them to go to my website and take a look at it from their point of view. That'd be really weird to do at Panera. I started going to a Founding Females meetup in Bloomington a couple of years ago, just for the connection of other small business owners. And when the person who runs it, her name's Francie, when she said that, you could have one of these in Decatur, I immediately wanted to run one. And it is just women getting together and talking about business. That's all it is. It is a simple gathering. And the only rule was, wherever you do your meetups, it has to be a woman-owned business. And we could have gone to a coffee shop, but my first thought was Cast Concepts. They have the space, and Cassie runs it. I mean, her name is the business. So I came in, and not only did she say yes to the space, it has been a pivotal partnership. It was kismet to connect with a business like this, to run Founding Females. We are such a powerhouse of women here with a full marketing firm. It is just such a diverse powerhouse of resources that we've built here, and it is so much more than we could have ever planned. Better than sitting at a coffee shop and chatting about business. It's fantastic.